Good day and welcome to another A Week at the Plot. We're going a little bit wild today, though not personally. We're doing a bit of wild planting. You may have heard of the term wilding or rewilding, and that is basically when land is left to just be taken over by nature again. If not, do have a look up on Google, Wikipedia, and there's most probably areas around you that are being rewilded. What we are doing is we are going to be planting two fruits, one into each of these pots. What fruits are we going to be planting? So this is a really tasty apple, not now, that we picked on a tree just on our neighbour's plot here. They are fantastic tasting, and I have let this one just rot away because we're going to be planting that whole apple. Another fruit that you might not be so familiar with is this one here. It's called a medlar. It's also called dog's bottom. Not sure, dog's bum as well. Not sure if you can see that, but it sort of looks a bit like a dog's bottom. These are interesting because you can see this one is quite soft, and where this has gone is rotting away and going soft. Medlars need to go soft before you actually eat them. So this actually is a fully ripe, look how squishy it is, a fully ripe medlar. Now medlars were introduced, I think, by the Romans many years ago, obviously, and they're not that popular now. They're not that well known. What is in each of these fruits, hopefully, are viable seeds. But what we're not going to be doing is slicing them. We're actually going to plant the whole fruit into the pot. As you may know, we're actually planning and preparing a space at Vanessa's for Earth's Sake to build a heritage orchard, to plant a heritage orchard. I have another friend who's really keen that some land that she has, quite a few acres, can be rewilded. And rewilded in the terms of what she wants is seeds that are taken from apples and other fruit that are germinated and then grown on into plants and then into trees. As you may know, when you plant an apple seed, you won't necessarily get the same apple tree to grow than you had originally. You may have heard of apple trees and pear trees and other fruit trees being grafted onto a rootstock. What grafting means is that you take a small, quite wispy branch from an apple tree that you like, and you graft that onto a rootstock of a different type of apple, or in some cases fruit trees. Quince trees are used quite often as rootstocks. We are not doing that. By doing that grafting, what will happen is that bit that you have grafted on, that twig or soft branch rather, that you've grafted onto the rootstock, will grow and develop into exactly the same tree as the one that you have taken the cutting from. When you put in apple seeds, like we're going to do, or medlar seeds, they may not come true, are in fact very unlikely to come true. But you know what? You might end up with a really fabulous apple that nobody has ever heard of. It may actually be an apple completely unique to you. Let me just show you what I'm going to do. So you can see I've got two pots here, which I've partly filled with spent compost, using a lot of spent compost at the moment, which is fine. I'm literally going to nestle these into the compost, and then just cover with a few centimeters, maybe an inch. So I'm covering the fruit and then adding another few centimeters. Just tap it down, and you know everything is in contact with the compost. A little bit more on top. That will all, when water gets on that, it really will compact. Well, just flatten, if you see what I mean. So in, how many months' time? 4 or 5 months' time, we will see if these germinate. And if they do, we will be keeping the seedlings from there. Maybe only one will germinate. Maybe both will germinate. Maybe a few seeds from each will germinate. But yeah, it's a little experiment. And what I'm going to do now is leave these, just like we did with the acorns. I'm going to leave these out. They're not going into the polytunnel. They're just going to be left on this bench. But I'm going to cover them in some mesh so that squirrels can't get in there. And then we'll see what happens next year. Okay, see you again tomorrow. Bye. Good day. We're at another of our favourite places, Cowleaze Wood, which is actually behind me. This is a private estate, the Wormsley estate. It's just so quiet. Hopefully that clearer bank of weather will come in, because it is a bit misty and a bit damp. But that's okay. Not sure what this crop is in here, but it seems to have been left. It's a cereal crop. And we pass some maize as well, which I think has also been left in the field. I would have thought it's too wet to harvest now, but maybe not. Anyway, that's public access, that path, which seems to go right down and then through that hedge. So even though it's a private estate, there is public access on the public areas, the footpath areas, rambling areas. You can hear the occasional pheasant from over there somewhere. Anyway, before I start rambling, I'm going to say goodbye. See you again soon. Bye. Good day. I'm at the bench by the shed, and over the next few days I'm going to be sorting out these plants. Many need a good weed. Some are going to other people. Down here are perennial kale, which are going to a couple of other plot holders. Well, good few other rather. But what I'm doing today is just sorting out these dahlias. They came as tubers from Lidl. I think I got them in about March. They gave a decent display. Not great, but decent. But I think that was down to the fact they're very hungry plants, and I don't think I fed them enough. What I'm going to do now is give them a weed. You can see there's some sort of weeds growing in there. In fact, over here there's a couple of, that's a buddleia. So I'm going to give them a weed and then cut them to the level of the pot. One of our fellow plot holders has really good dahlias, and she's told me what she does, so I'm going to follow her guide this year. So I'm going to be cutting these to the level of the pot and then turning them upside down and putting them into our polytunnel. And then once they've dried off a bit, I'm then going to put the whole thing into a cardboard box inside the polytunnel, and hopefully that will keep them frost free. That's what she does, and it seems to work for her, so I'm going to give that a go. These have now had a weed, and as you can see, I hope, I've sort of cut the stalks back to the level of the top of the pot. And then what I'm going to do is take these over to our table here, where I have a mushroom tray. But basically it's just a tray. You upturn them on a tray. So let me try and do that. Sort of. So the idea is that the stalk will just lift the top of the soil off the base, and that will allow it to dry out. Let me get the others. I just hope I can fit the 5 in here. I think I might not be able to. I couldn't fit all 5 in the mushroom tray, so I've popped the mushroom tray at an angle into this tray, which itself has holes in, and I've upturned this one over this set of holes, if you see what I mean. Be interesting to see if there's any difference in how these dry out. So that's it for today. In 3 to 4 weeks time, once these have dried out in the polytunnel, I will come back to them and we'll see if they're ready to go into boxes. And those boxes will remain hopefully in the poly or in the shed over here over the winter, with the cardboard, fingers crossed, helping to keep everything frost free. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye. The time has come, the Paulus said, to tidy many things, brassica nets and untamed beds and fallen cosmos queens. Good day. Yes, the time has come to take out the cosmos. They've been fabulous. They took a long time to actually get going, but all of them have really succumbed, as you've seen. And yeah, get them out, get them in the compost bin. What that will also give me an opportunity, just looking at the bed here, the flower bed, is to see what is coming up, because there's a lot that is coming up. I would love a few dry days though, so that I could get in and strim. But yeah, we shall have to wait to see if we get them. We had torrential rain last night and strong winds, so everything is pretty wet. So just a quick job. I think there's also a sunflower. Well, not I think. There is also a sunflower in the beetroot bed. I'm going to take that out. And look, as I speak, the sun is coming out. See you in a minute. So this is our flower border bed, which has got quite a few flowers in it and germinating and growing. Much of that is self-seeded. So I think we'll have a look at this another day. I just wanted to come down and take the cosmos out so that things looked a little bit tidier. Little steps as we prepare for winter. Okay, I will see you tomorrow for another A Week at the Plot. Bye. Good day. And it is a good day. Little garlic's coming through. Little garlic coming through. And actually, as I look down the line, I can see the thermidrome, a few of the thermidrome coming up. There's another one just here. So I'm really pleased about that. The porcelain music over there is doing fine. Came up really quickly, and I was slightly concerned that the thermidrome and messidrome, which are in these 2 rows, or 2 rows here and then 2 rows here, they hadn't come up at all. So I'm really pleased that they have. Oh, is that another one? Yes. Oh, well, yes. There is one just here, and there is also another one over here. So that means that the messidrome and the thermidrome are both coming up, which is fantastic, because that one, this one, if you can see that white label, let me stand up, that single row is split into some messidrome and some thermidrome. So I can now say that all 3 types of garlic have broken the ground and are growing, which is super. Oh, I'm so happy about that. Really am. These are the roots of the cosmos I took out yesterday, and I meant to say that the actual root part is going to go in our perennial compost bin. You can see there's a bit of clover, and here is some cinquefoil. So I certainly don't want to put that into our compost bin, our cold compost bin. These roots, and all of the roots of the cosmos, in fact, have gone into our perennial compost bin, and these will be following them. Whilst we're on the subject of garlic, as you will have seen in A Week at the Plot last week, I planted the rest of the messidrome and porcelain music garlic that we had into a trough, and I said that we would be using that as green garlic. And Stacey asked the question, what was green garlic? Green garlic is basically just young garlic. So it isn't going to store well because it hasn't got to maturity. So it hasn't matured as a bulb and as a garlic bulb. So the cloves will not store well. But fresh garlic, fresh green garlic, is just gorgeous. So if you do have some additional garlic, it's good to just put it into a trough or something, because our garlic will last, I think, till about February or March, and then we'll be going over to shop bought garlic. With having the green garlic, we can use that in the early spring, in March, April, May, before we start harvesting the full mature garlic in June. So yeah, that's why I mentioned about green garlic. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll see you again tomorrow, and thanks for asking that question, Stacey. I am really pleased. It's great to get comments and questions, and then we can just sort of answer them, or other people can answer them. See you again tomorrow. Bye. Well, it's Friday afternoon and I'm back at the plot. You may remember this coldframe that I got from Lidl. I had it, I've had it for over a year, and I got it on a discount, or at a discount rather, because it's really quite torn and I'm not sure if all the pieces are in here. And because of that, I've sort of put off putting it up. But I'm going to get on and see if all the bits are there and start putting it together. It should be quite easy, fingers crossed, if all the bits are there. If not, there'll be a bit more Heath Robinson doings going on and maybe bits of tape. Anyway, I will just get on with it. I'm not going to show you me doing it, and then we'll have a look at it at the end, and I'll let you know how easy or not it was to do. Well, I don't think you can see me. I certainly can't see myself on camera. Well, that was interesting. It's jolly interesting. We're gonna have to pick up on this tomorrow, I think. Maybe if I go the other way, there'll be a bit more light. That was just, I mean, it's so Heath Robinson. It really is. I'm going to rename myself. There is so much tape on this cold frame. Why did I think getting a corrugated plastic thing was a good idea? I don't know. Anyway, I don't. Let's pick up on it tomorrow, because I really have no idea whether you can see me or not. Well, it's now the afternoon after the afternoon before, if you see what I mean. I left here about 4:45 last night, and it was quite dark. And I looked at the footage just now of that last bit that I filmed, and I was laughing so much I think I had a gentleman's moment. But honestly, I mean, look, I've got a cold frame. I hooked out the invoice for this, not the invoice, the receipt. I think it was 30 quid down to 10 quid, and I got it for £2.50. So actually, I've got a cold frame for £2.50, but I've used a lot of tape on it, and the rubber bit which acts as a what do you call them? Sorry. Hinge. Sorry, the rubber bit that acts as a hinge was absolutely solid. It wouldn't move. So when I tried to close the lid, the plastic was breaking at the bottom. It was breaking away from the edging. And I realised that bits that are in the corners that go down the edges, they weren't fitting into the plastic at the bottom. And that's because the plastic at the bottom hadn't been moulded correctly. I mean, yeah. But I have another cold frame, and you know what? For £2.50, it's going to work. It'll most probably work for a while. But I would have loved a wooden and polycarbonate one, or a wooden and toughened glass one. But hey ho, that's for the future. Let me just show you what we do have, which works. Here it is. I've actually had to join these two together because they're so fragile it won't open separately. The back, this rubber bit at the back, is supposed to act as the hinge, but if I use it as a hinge, it's breaking the edging along from the plastic here and here. So effectively what I've done is I've taped the hinge to the back. There's lots of tape at the side. These slot along hinges do actually work. Can't do it one-handed, but they do work. More tape here and here. More tape here. And this is where I've actually taped the hinge. This is supposed to run into a groove here. But when I do that, I'm not sure whether this has just decayed, the rubber, but it's so tough. As I say, it just won't bend over and it starts breaking along the edge here, which is why there's bits of tape there as well. But you know what? It's another cold frame. There's no support at the side to hold this up when you're working, so I need to think about that. On the more expensive wooden cold frames, there's a sort of thing that holds the lid up as you slide it up. But what is good is, if you can see in there, those plastic bits, there are tent pegs that they give you which go into those holes, which then go into the ground and hold the whole thing firm. It'll be interesting to see how long it lasts. But you know what? £2.50, can't really complain. Though, would I buy the same one from Lidl again? No. If it was 30 quid, I'd certainly save my money to get a wooden and polycarbonate one, or potentially a metal and polycarbonate one. Hey ho, we have another cold frame, and I'm going to position it over there. So the positioning of the cold frame is going to have to wait for another day, because it started drizzling quite heavily out there, and I was having a few sniffles last night, so I don't want to get wet. So I'm going to call it a day and go home and read a book on composting. I will see you again tomorrow. I think the weather is going to be wet again, but fingers crossed there'll be a couple of hours clear so that I can get down and do something that I really want to do. Anyway, we'll find out tomorrow, won't we? See you soon. Bye. Good day on a breezy and wet Sunday. I've decided I'm going to repot the rose cuttings in these two. There are a few roots coming through the bottom. Hopefully you can see that there. I want to give a couple of these as presents at Christmas, but also it's a sort of little experiment, because I want to see the difference between repotting these and leaving these, and see how the root systems potentially develop differently. I'm not quite sure whether there will be any difference, but it'll be interesting to see. So as it's so gusty, I'm going to get in the polytunnel with these two and do some repotting. So I've taken this one out of the pot, and this is the base of the cutting here. And as I hope you can see, so this is the base of the cutting, and roots, the brown roots have come out and the white as well. So the brown roots are obviously the older roots, the white roots are taking in a lot of water and nutrients, but you can see that these have rooted really well. Again, hopefully you can see this is the end of the cutting. These are where the roots begin. So I'm just going to pull them apart. Oh, sorry. pull them apart and see what we have. Obviously the roots are intermingled, but that's fine. So you can see there are 3 really nicely rooted rose cuttings. And what I'm going to do now is pot them back up, making sure that I keep the same level. So here you can see where it's paler. This is where, or hopefully you can see where it's paler. This is where the cutting has been under the soil or the compost, and this is where it's been above. So I'm going to keep the level about to where it was originally in the soil. But I'm really pleased with those roots. Really, really pleased. Making sure that the roots go as far to the bottom as possible. There's a cutting that didn't take. I know it's cutting that didn't take, so I just got the thorn in my finger. So that's the cutting done. As I say, up to the level that it was before. That's all 7 potted on. That one that I showed you, I potted it into a slightly smaller pot than I wanted to, so I repotted it into this larger pot. But you can see that they really are healthy. I mean, I'm expecting these leaves to drop because we're in winter, but with that root system that is on there, fingers crossed they'll really do well. So these are now going back out onto the bench, and we will have a check on their root systems in the spring. Well, I'm really pleased to have got that job done. It's something that I've been umming and ahhing about for quite a while. Shall I put them all on individually? Shall I just leave them for the spring? And then last night I just thought, why don't I do some of them as potted on plants and the others just leave, and let's see how those roots develop. But I'm really pleased with how the roots have developed on those so far. I mean, it's great. I'm just overjoyed with that. So yeah, we'll see how they are in the spring. But considering that I was hoping for 2 to 3 cuttings that would take from those, what was it, 20 that I did, I'm so pleased. There's what is there? There's 5, 2 haven't taken, so there's 18 cuttings there. Isn't that fantastic? All from a rose that was having to come down because it was in a plant that our neighbours wanted to take down. So yeah, took those cuttings, we've got more plants. Fabulous. Anyway, that's it for this week. I'll see you for another A Week at the Plot next week. If you're watching us on Planet Vegetaria, then I'll see you before next week. And yeah, have a really good week yourself. If you like what we do, please do subscribe and give us a thumbs up. And I will see you again very soon. Bye.